I believe anybody in my shoes would have taken the same decision. I'm proud that every single patient who's needed a test for life-saving treatment has had access to a test. But of course, NHS staff need access to testing too. And I'm delighted that at the weekend we could roll out this access for the first time. And there's a challenge too of making sure that the public can have confidence in tests. Several of the tests that we're currently checking have failed. In one case, a test that I'm being urged to buy missed 3 out of 4 positive cases of coronavirus. That means in 3/4 of cases, that test would have given the false comfort of sending someone with coronavirus back on the wards. Approving tests that don't work is dangerous, and I will not do it. Now, these are some of the challenges that we've faced, but I want to set out my plan to boost testing. Let's first be clear about the goal. Always to ensure that testing is available to patients who need it. Next, to expand testing to critical NHS staff and their families. And I can announce today that we're expanding testing for NHS staff further. Third, as we ramp up the numbers, we'll test critical key workers, and over time, we'll expand testing to the community. Our ultimate goal is that anyone who needs a test should have one. Now, let me take a moment to set out my 5-pillar testing strategy to achieve these goals. The first pillar is swab testing in Public Health England labs and within the NHS in their hospitals. This is the testing to find out if you currently have the virus. We've already reached a target of 10,000 tests per day, precisely on time, by the end of March, as committed. And we're committed to reaching 25,000 tests per day by the end of April at the latest. Because it allows the NHS to identify and effectively care for those who are most seriously ill, saving lives by helping clinicians decide the most effective treatment options, I can reassure you that every single patient who needs a test is able to have one, and this is how we're going to make sure that people get the right treatment in hospitals. The second pillar is the creation of a brand new swab testing capacity delivered by commercial partners. Again, this is swab testing to tell if people have the virus. The biggest part of Pillar 2 is partnerships with universities, research institutes and companies like Amazon and Boots to build from scratch a network of new labs and testing sites across the country. This brand new service has just launched and is ramping up rapidly. The trials of this have successfully completed, and the number of tests at this facility will significantly increase from this weekend. To begin with, this capacity will be used solely for frontline NHS staff and their families. Increasing testing capacity for NHS staff will allow more doctors and nurses who do not have the disease safely to go back to work and to treat those who are most in need of care. These are currently in the final stages of development. As of now, over 5,000 NHS workers have been tested across the 5 new testing sites and these testing capabilities. Currently, there are only 5.7% of doctors absent due to COVID-19, but of course we want to get that number down. And we're working with other testing companies to expand Pillar 2, so over time we have many different commercial partners delivering mass swab testing. The third pillar is blood tests. Now, blood tests are designed to tell whether people have had the virus and are now immune. These tests are done by taking a blood sample and looking for the presence of the right COVID-19 antibodies. These could potentially be done at home with a finger prick and deliver results in as little as 20 minutes. We're currently working with 9 companies who've offered these tests and evaluating their effectiveness. These antibody tests, blood tests, offer the hope that people who think they've had the disease will know they're immune and can get back to life as much as possible as normal. But they've got to work. The fourth pillar is surveillance. We're conducting some of the biggest surveys in the world to find out what proportion of the population already have the virus. This is done using an ultra-high accuracy antibody test operated by Public Health England at their Porton Down Science campus. We have capacity for 3,500 of these tests a week, enough population sampling to begin with. Robust population surveillance programs are essential to understanding the rate of infection and how the virus is spreading across the country. We'll use these tests to help us strengthen our scientific understanding and inform us on the big choices that we have to make about social distancing and how we exit from this crisis. We did not start this crisis with a large diagnostics industry, but that doesn't mean that we can't build one. Just as our top-end manufacturers have joined up the national effort to build ventilators, so the pharmaceutical companies will do the same for testing. Our pharmaceutical giants like AstraZeneca and GSK, which have no great history in diagnostics, are now working with our world-leading but small diagnostics companies to build a British diagnostics industry at scale. The new national effort for testing will ensure that we can get tests for everyone who needs them. And I'm delighted that the pharmaceutical industry is rising to this challenge and putting unprecedented resources into testing. Taken together, I am now setting the goal of 100,000 tests per day by the end of this month. That is the goal, and I am determined that we will get there. And to help drive this work forward, I'm pleased that